प्राइवेटाइजेशन में जी आएगा ना, ठीक है। ऑन हो गया ये मेरे यूट्यूब पे आ रहा है। Okay, now Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the small topic of your chapter number 3. I looked around the chapter and this is a small thing which is present in your chapter number 3 at the end. So I decided to complete it first before starting chapter number 4, that is about macroeconomics. Okay, so macroeconomics will be started after this topic, after the completion of this topic. Okay, so today we are going to see what is meant by nationalization. Actually, nationalization means when the government is going to take over one of the private enterprise for the sake of public interest. Public interest means what? That this enterprise is producing the utilities or public goods, like one of the water supply company. So people say this is a water supply company that should remain in the hands of government, because government will not be aiming to maximize the profit, rather government will be trying to increase the social welfare of the people. That's why government is keeping nationalization of those firms which are having more and more public interest, like railways, like PIA, many of the firms, those who are larger in size, and their aim is, along with the profit maximization, can be the social welfare maximization. So nationalization means what? When government body takes the control of a firm in its own hands for the sake of improving welfare or to create more and more employment opportunities for the people of the country, then they are going to have nationalization, and in that sense nationalization will be beneficial to the country as well and to the people of the country. But keep it in mind, in many of the countries, those who are having more government role, they have more control over state-owned enterprises like bus travel, railways, airline services, water supplies, electricity generations, and ultimately these goods and services, they are sold to the general public with the aim of improving their welfare. Whatever profits are generated, they will be reinvested. They will be reinvested to the welfare of the people in order to expand these enterprises again and again. So nationalization, basically it is mostly used in those countries where the government control is very strong on the economic activities, and they are going to have more and more social welfare maximization rather than the profit maximization. Okay, so now the second part of this topic is the privatization. What do you mean by privatization? It is opposite to the nationalization, and privatization means when federal government or any other government, either it is provincial or federal, they are going to sell their state-owned enterprises to the general public. When these enterprises, which are previously controlled by the state, now they are sold to the private people in order to improve the economic efficiency, and government aim is that the basic economic questions, rather they to be answered by the state. Now market forces, the private producers, the consumers, they have to answer what, how and for how to produce. So privatization means now government is losing control over the state-owned enterprises. They are sold or they are given to the private sector. That is the meaning of privatization. Okay, so privatization means to sell state-owned enterprises to the private sector. To the private sector. This is what do we mean by privatization. There are different forms of privatization. One is called direct sale of state-owned enterprises. What is SOE? This is state-owned enterprises. Government is directly selling its enterprises to the general public. There are two options, like government is using what? Direct sales through auction, like smaller enterprises, like schools, like hospitals, they are auctionized. Government is offering open bidding to the general public, and government will issue the property rights or ownership rights of that enterprises to the highest bidder in the auction. Like government is selling a school, government is selling any of the hospital or any of the restaurant area. So in that case, auctionized will be in the open area or in the venue wherever government has decided to auction the enterprises, and then later on their control will be given to the private sector. And for the large scale enterprises, if they are running in loss, they are not generating enough money to the government, rather government is spending more of their tax revenues in order to make them survive. So in that case, government will be gradually privatizing these enterprises. If suppose now Pakistan Railway it is showing us losses over the period of time. So in that case, government will try to privatize it by issuing its shares to the general public in the stock exchange. So first of all, government will issue 10% of the shares, 15% of the shares, or 20% of the shares. Gradually, whenever more than 50% of the shares or 51% of the shares, they are in the hands of private shareholders, public shareholders, they are ordinary shareholders. So in that case, that state-owned enterprise will be privatized. So why government is privatizing? It is having inefficiency, it is having massive losses over the period of time, they are not properly managed, and every time government has to finance in order to overcome its financial crisis. So government will privatize those things, and now this enterprise which was previously state-owned, now it will be controlled and managed by the private sector, and it will become more efficient. Second thing, how government is privatizing, that is deregulation. Deregulation means what? Whatever the barriers government has created for the entry of the private firms, like previously television services were only provided by the state. So in that case, what was happening? State was the sole owner of television services or radio services. It was strictly regulated market that only state has the right to provide these services. No one else in the private sector will be allowed. Or PDCL telecom services, they were only provided by state-owned enterprise, that was PDCL. Nowadays it is going to have more privatization. So deregulation means when government abolished all those barriers, government is removing the barriers for the entry of the new firms, then new firms will enter from the private sector. Barriers to entry, they will be removed, and now new firms will be allowed to produce the goods and services in competition to the state-owned enterprises like PTV, that is still state-owned, but along with that there are more than hundreds of channels which are working, and they are providing news services, entertainment services in the country, and they are also creating employment opportunities, and more tax revenues are also collected by the government from these private channels in the form of television services, in the form of radio services, in the form of telecom services. So when market is deregulated means rules which were previously making hurdles for the entry of the new firms, they have been removed, and now private firms are allowed to enter, and they will be competing in the market. Due to competition, efficiency will also be promoted, they will try to reduce their per unit cost of production, and they will also maintain the quality of their goods and services, because their sole aim is to maximize the profit rather than to maximize the social welfare like the government. Now the third way of privatization, that is meaning franchising. Franchise business is that whenever we want to have a franchise of any of the private sector firm, so they will allow us to use their brand name in order to attract the buyers. So here in this case, now government is allowing the private people to sell or provide services on behalf of the government. But the franchisee will be managing all these activities by himself, and he will be creating employment opportunities. I give you an example. If government is giving a franchise of PIA, Pakistan International Airline, to the private people to sell the tickets, airline tickets to the general public on behalf of the government, so in that case we say this is a PIA franchise business. Or to sell the landline phones on behalf of government company, so we say this is also franchise business. So in case of franchise, a company will be using, the franchisee will be using the brand name of the government on behalf of the government. He or she is going to sell the products to the general public in the private sector. So we say franchise is a type of privatization in which private people are working on behalf of the government. They are selling their goods and services on behalf of the government. They don't need to advertise, but the government bodies or the mother company which is owned by the government, that will be advertising and attracting the buyers for the franchise business as well. So brand name of that company, state-owned company, that will be used, but the people under that franchise working, they are the private people. They are paid by the owner of that franchise, and actually it will reduce the burden of the government in order to pay the salaries to the employees. Now this is managed by the private sector. Now the last form of privatization, that is contract out. Contract out means what? When we talk about contract out, it means now the private contractors, they are allowed to produce the goods and services on behalf of the government. Government will contract to construct a road, to construct a building on behalf of the government, for the government, because government does not want to invest more money in the form of capital goods like machinery to produce road network, to hire more and more labor force in order to make them payments as their services. So now government is saying, we are giving you a contract to bridge, to have the construction of this road, have a construction of this building, have a construction of an airport. So government is paying money to the private sector in order to produce these goods for the government. This is the contract law, when government is issuing contracts to the private firms in order to produce these goods and services for the government. So this is also called a privatization proceed. The privatization is having these four types: direct sale, deregulation, franchising, and contract out. Actually now by privatization, the efficiency of private sector will be improved, competition will increase, and the quality of goods will also be improved. And now the basic economic questions, what, how, and for whom to produce, they will be better answered by the private sector rather than state is going to answer them, and where it has the pitfalls of economic inefficiency. So this is what we mean by privatization and nationalization. This is a little bit smaller topic than the previous ones. No diagram is required. Only you have to write the descriptive answer if there is in the exam. Previously it was in A2 syllabus, but right now it is included into A1. So we have completed all of the third chapter. I will be sending you a question to answer regarding this chapter number 3, and now I'm going to start chapter number 4. This is the macroeconomy. What is the chapter number 4? The macroeconomy. Today I will be giving you the introduction of macroeconomics. What do you mean by macroeconomics? In very first lessons of your class, I gave you some definitions about microeconomics, macroeconomics, positive economics, normative economics. Recall your memory, macro means large and economics means study of the economic variables. So when we talk about macroeconomics, it deals the economic studies as a whole at the national level. It deals with the study of economic variables as a whole. Like at national level, when we are studying the economic variables at the national level, then we are not dealing with microeconomics, but we are now in the realm of macroeconomics. In reality, we are studying at the national level the economic variables. So macroeconomics is the branch of economics which studies the role of government and economic variables not at a single market but its role for the whole country's economic activities. In the previous chapter, we studied the microeconomic government intervention. That was not about the macroeconomic intervention. In this chapter, we will be studying different types of macroeconomic objectives of the government and then how to achieve those objectives by using the government macroeconomic policies. So, what are those macroeconomic objectives? Objectives of a country, of the government of a country to be achieved. Keep it in mind, according to free market economics, we said there is no role of government. This macroeconomics took birth in year 1929 when there was a great depression in the world economy. There was a global depression. Global depression means what? There was massive unemployment throughout the whole world in 1929. So at that time, most of the governments, majority of the governments, they were non-interventionist in the economic activities. Maynard Keynes from Cambridge University, he gave the role of government in the macroeconomics. So actually after the Great Depression, when Maynard Keynes started his teachings about the role of government in the economic activities in order to pull up the economies from Great Depression and to remove unemployment which was widely present in many of the countries at that time. So that gave us the study of macroeconomics. So what are the objectives of government in the macroeconomics? First of all, it is economic growth rate. Economic growth rate. You might be knowing what is meant by GDP, gross domestic product. How much total output is produced by a country in a given time period? Like in this fiscal year, how much output, how many goods and services they have been produced by our country. That will tell us the economic growth, whether they have increased than the previous year or they have been decreased. So we say economic growth, this is the main objective of any government to achieve this economic growth, the increase in number of goods and services over the period of time. That is the main aim of macroeconomic policies of the government, that they should design these macroeconomic policies in such a way that actual growth and potential growth of the countries that should be increasing. Second most important government objective, that is full employment or low unemployment. Whatever the labor force is available to the country, educated, skilled, experienced, or unskilled, they should be having more and more employment. If they are left unemployed, what happens? Important economic resource will be wasted, and that will have an effect on the economic growth of the country. When we are having more and more unemployment in the country, less number of goods and services are being produced, and due to that economic growth will be declining. In order to have more economic growth, more and more employment opportunities should be created in the country, or unemployment should be decreased. More employment opportunities should be created in the country, and that will have more economic growth as well. Third objective means price stability. That the general price level should be stabilized or low inflation. This is also an objective of the government macroeconomic policies, that prices should not be having a high rate of growth. That if prices are increasing by double digits, above 20%, around about 20%, more than 10%, then the cost of living in that country will become higher and higher. People will have to spend more income on the basic necessities of life, which make them to have a difficult life. Whenever they are earning a fixed amount of income, they are the fixed earners. So most of the time when prices are increasing, their real wealth, real earnings, they will decrease, and purchasing power of money will be decreasing, and that will make their cost of living to rise. So these three are going to be called the domestic economic variables. These are the domestic objectives. Like if you want to see the performance of any economy, we will be looking at its economic growth rate over the period of time, its unemployment rate, its inflation rate. That will tell us how this economy is performing, what is the performance of this government. These are the domestic objectives. They are not linked with international objectives like balance of payment and exchange rate. So these are domestic performance objectives of the government. If the government is able to have more economic growth, more employment opportunities, or unemployment is going to decrease, or prices are also growing by a stable rate in a single digit, that means the performance of the government on the economic grounds is marvelous. It is showing us a very good performance on its economic pitch. So we say these are the three internal or domestic objectives. Now the fourth objective is, you will be knowing about balance of payment. When a country is exporting the goods and services, or it is attracting the financial investment to the country, or we say there is going to be more capital inflows in the form of finance, in the form of fixed assets or patents, then we say the balance of payment. Whatever a country is having international receipts, they should balance its payments. We should have an equilibrium in our international payments and receipts. Then our balance of payment will be moving towards equilibrium. A stable balance of payment account will show us the external performance, the external outlook of a country. On the external market, on the external fronts, on international linkages, how a country is performing, that is about balance of payment, which tells us about its performance in international market. And the last one that is showing us the exchange rate. Government objective is to have stable exchange rate. If the value of our exchange rate is fluctuating, time and again. So what happens in that case? In that case, this country will not be having a good performance, because if its currency value is fluctuating, it will be affecting balance of payment as well. It will be affecting the economic growth rate and inflation as well. So the value of its currency in terms of foreign currency, that should also be stabilized. If value is stabilized, then we can have a good performance of the country on its external outlook. These two are called external objectives of a government. What are these? Now these 5 macroeconomic objectives, basically they are showing us economic performance at the national level. Domestic performance can be shown by the 3 top objectives, and the last 2 they are showing us the external performance of a country. So in that case we are going to see how a country is performing well. After studying what are the macroeconomic objectives, we will be moving into detail about the other macroeconomic variables like aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and we will be studying inflation, topics which we will be covering, balance of payment, and international trade. International trade, they will be covered in this topic, and in international trade we will be moving into detail, because majority of time your data response question in paper 2, that is the section A of paper 2, that comes from international trade. Most of the time they give us current account data of the country and its linkages with its exchange rate and other things. Then we will be studying in detail about the exchange rate factors, balance of payment factors, and then our chapter number 4 will be concluded. And in the 5th chapter we will be doing the macroeconomic policies, how to overcome these macroeconomic problems. Like there can be economic growth problem of the country, there can be either boom and recession, or there can be unemployment as a problem for the country. It is persistently increasing, then it becomes a problem. If prices are persistently increasing over the period of time, then that will also become a macroeconomic problem. Or balance of payment deficit is enlarging, so in that case we will be having balance of payment deficit as well. So we are having these problems, our exchange rate fluctuations are there. So when these macroeconomic problems are arising, so in that way government will be designing the macroeconomic policies like fiscal policy, monetary policy, supply side policies, in order to overcome the macroeconomic problems which are present in any of the economy. In other words, if these objectives are not achieved, they will become macroeconomic diseases to the country. And how these diseases will be cured? By the economic manager or by the economic doctors of the country. They are the doctors of the economy. They make a good treatment in order to track the economy on the objectives which are set by the government at the start of the year. So some policies they are long run, some policies they are short run policies. We will be studying them in the last chapter. But right now, from tomorrow onwards, I will be starting from aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Then we will move on to inflation, inshallah. So within couple of weeks, we will be able to complete our maximum of the topics of this chapter number 4. I think so. You will be with us, and you will have a good lesson on internet or on online classes. So your cooperation is highly appreciated if you come to the class in our online session. Thank you very much. That's all for me.